might be sat on a sweaty train or in a crumbling Victorian hovel, but for the next insert number of minutes, please, we'll be taking you back to nature. Because in each episode, we'll rip up the podcast rulebook and kidnap, well, lead, a different guest to their favourite local park. And there we'll talk about the things that they like to do. So pack a picnic blanket. Try saying that after a few Prosecco's. Our guarantee to you, lucky listener, is that this episode will contain one or more of the following: ice cream, swings, grass, dog walkers, drunks, canoodling couples, a possible mugging, and fun in the sun, unless it rains. So join me, Christopher Beanland, yes, that is my real name, and a special guest as we try to create the perfect park date. It's park date. On today's episode, we have the park, which is Highbury Fields, a very genteel place to go in North London, where you can get some wild garlic, as we'll talk about. We have Felicity Cloake as the guest on this episode. Felicity is the author of One More Croissant for the Road and a new book called Red Sauce, Brown Sauce, which is about British breakfasts. Felicity has written for The New Statesman, The Guardian and The Daily Mail. I like anything that's meta, and one of the good things that Felicity does is test out other people's recipes, find the best one, or a combination of them, and advise you on how to make the perfect version of something. So I would highly recommend that. You should listen to the end of this episode, because Felicity brings me a great gift and I bring her a less great gift, but it's funny nonetheless. If you're enjoying Park Date, then please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, so you will be bothered by the system when a new episode comes out. And please do leave a review, good or bad, even if you hate it. Tell me why. But hopefully you'll like what we're doing. Leave a review, make it funny. I'm going to read out the funniest ones, and the one that makes me laugh the most will get a prize. Check out our website, parkdate.co.uk, on socials, Park Date Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. If you want to get in touch with me, then you can tweet me at Chris Beanland or Instagram at Christopher Beanland. My website is christopherbeanland.com. So please enjoy this episode. The music is about to fade up due to the power of open source editing software. It will play for a few seconds, and then you will be transported as if by magic to Highbury Fields, where we have our chat. Welcome to Highbury Fields. It's a bit of a grey day, but livened up by my guest for this episode, star of Celebrity University Challenge.
Love that's the one thing that you highlight. It is my greatest achievement.
And the Great British Menu, amongst other things, is Felicity Cloake. Felicity, thank you for joining me today.
My absolute pleasure. I'm sorry about the weather. It's not always this grim in Islington.
Yeah, is it normally sunny?
Yeah, it's always very sunny. Just wealthy and sunny, but today picked a grey day, a grim day.
Indeed. And this is probably the quietest I've ever seen Highbury Fields, because often in the summer it gets very, very busy. And in lockdown, I spent a lot of time hanging out here, as did a lot of people around here,
Yeah, you guys ruining my life coming here. I'm saying it like I live on Highbury. I don't live on Highbury Fields. Don't make that much money from journalism, sadly. Yeah, it was really annoying when it became really busy, because I have a dog who just loves to eat barbecues, people's picnics, doesn't wait for an invitation. Yeah. So, yeah, I would only come at 6 a.m. and that was it for me. Highbury Fields was dead to me.
And he's a very famous dog. He's a dog that people know from your socials. He looks to have... I love it when you post content of Wilf outside of butchers and he's furiously wagging his tail. He looks like the happiest dog in the world.
He's not. He's menacing them. He's terrible. He's so entitled. He's like a guy that just goes around collecting, like, you know, the money from the local shopkeepers. He's a bit mafia, so if he has to wait...
Mafia dog.
He is mafia dog, so if he has to wait too long outside the butcher's, if there's a queue, God forbid, he just barks and they bring a bone out to him. It's like, can you imagine that? He's just like, I'm here, don't make me wait, I'm going to get angry, you won't love me when I'm angry. So, yeah, he's character, let us say.
He looks so happy when he's got his bone though and he's wagging his tail. But I think he has a pretty good life, really.
He does. I mean, just for a bit of context, he's currently eating something out of a McDonald's wrapper. I mean, I didn't give him, he's just found. So,
that's the way he rolls.
Yeah, that's the way he rolls.
That's the way he rolls.
Yeah, he's having a good life.
Yeah. So is this a park that you like to come to more than any others, or do you have any other favourites in London?
I had to say my favourite is Hampstead Heath, which is really
a good choice.
Cliched, but it's
like being in the country.
Exactly, and it does feel like it's one of the few places near me where you actually get a view of London, because when you live in sort of centralist London, you really rarely see London because the horizon is so low. And going up onto Parliament Hill and seeing London spread out before you, it's nice. I think it's good for the soul. So I'm very into Hampstead Heath and all the little quiet bits. And, you know, I found a patch of wild garlic, peak food writer excitement, patch of wild garlic on Hampstead Heath. So,
which is always a nice thing. Talking about wild garlic, on the corner of Highbury Fields, they have like a little garden where they will leave bits of wild garlic that you can... I
didn't realise that he was right. Sorry. Come on. You don't like Easter eggs.
Runner getting attacked in a very kind way.
Sorry.
Those Easter eggs look good. Sorry? Those Easter eggs look good.
I wanted to get some squash, but Waitrose have reduced them on that. It was like £2.
Oh, so a bargain.
Bargain.
Right.
God,
we know where we're going next. Enjoy. But yeah, you can get wild garlic down by the corner of Highbury Fields. Have you seen?
Oh, I didn't. I thought you weren't meant to go in there and pick that, Chris.
I
thought that was a little garden for children.
Just admitted to a crime. No, they leave them out. They say, please take our wild garlic. It's very, very sweet.
No, I didn't know that.
But yeah,
annoying you having more local knowledge than me. I'm embarrassed.
But yeah, I love a bit of wild garlic. I didn't know you could get it on Hampstead Heath as well. Though. That's nice.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you where it is.
It's your secret.
It's my secret. It's a really small, weedy patch, so I have to be a bit private about it. Sorry.
Do you have a secret? Do you have some truffles buried?
I do. I have all sorts.
Parliament Hill as well?
No. That's Primrose Hill. I got truffles. So it's just stashes all over London.
That's more truffle friendly, isn't it?
It's true. Yeah, it's very Primrose Hill.
Primrose Hill.
Always
exactly.
eating truffles.
Exactly. As a food writer, Felicity, if you were going to come for a picnic in Highbury Fields, what kind of thing would you bring on a picnic? I love a picnic.
Oh, I mean, who doesn't?
What are your favourite picnic foods?
Well, I've written over the years, without wanting to sound as old as Methuselah, I've written a lot of picnic articles, and you know, it's always very visual. So you have things in little jam jars, and you have salads and things, sandwiches tied up with greaseproof paper and twine. Who has ever done that? But actually, I think the best thing to do with picnics is to keep it really simple, because you are sitting on the ground. I think stuff that you can eat with your hands, like you really don't want to be faffing around with a salad and a jam jar. No one wants to eat anything but jam from a jam jar. So I think things like Scotch eggs, really good sandwiches. Like if you could get, I love those focaccia sandwiches, you know, where the bread is really like lovely and oily, like sort of dusty knuckle sandwiches. They're really good. I mean, crisps, quite basic, but crisps always go down well. Yeah. And then also makes it nice and visual, like some sort of ripe fruit. That's good. Will, here.
He's trying to join in with a school game of some kind of, I don't know what game that is.
I don't know. There's some
cricket. It's like cricket practice.
Cricket going on.
That's brilliant to see kids playing cricket.
I'm
very happy about that.
Aerobics, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Will thought he might get involved with that, but wasn't actually very welcome.
Yeah. We'll distract him from the kids' games. Yes, I think it's funny you mentioned crisps. I love crisps.
Who doesn't love crisps?
Crisps and hummus is like.
Oh wow!
I would say
wow! More Islington and Islington. I'm not sure. I'm actually.
You say no to that?
Well,
I love that in a picnic.
I don't know whether to admit this on a podcast.
Go on, admit it.
I'm not actually a massive fan of hummus.
Really?
I really feel like I really like Jutta Martelengi, and I don't want him to cancel me. Yeah. But it's not that I don't like it, but it just seems to have become the single dip, the dip, and I'm like, and
there's
it's
so many. Yeah.
I just feel like we get some really bad hummus. Like, you can get some lovely stuff, but most of it is shit in this country.
It's true. I made some the other day, and it was terrible. It was so bad. I basically had to throw it all away. It's very easy to make hummus taste horrible.
Well, I think
the good stuff is good. But
the good stuff is that, and I think that you want it to be really smooth, and so actually it's better if you buy those big jarred Spanish chickpeas that are really expensive but really delicious.
Are they good?
And then use some of the cooking water to sort of make it a bit silky and smooth. But in general, what happened to those dip quartets you used to get in the 90s?
Oh, yes.
You don't see those anymore. It's all hummus.
Yeah.
No one goes with the cream cheese and chive.
I was going to say cream cheese and chive. Was there like
salsa.
A pink one?
Sometimes it was a Thousand
Island.
Sometimes a salsa. You used to get those horrible Tex-Mex quartets that had like bits of cheese, like nacho cheese, and long life guacamole, which is a very suspicious thing.
Yeah. My parents were very fond of Thousand Island dressing back in the day. Yes. That brings back some very fond memories.
Yeah, I think it's been rechristened as Mary Rose, hasn't it?
Yes.
Thousand Island dressing, and then mine went to a Caesar salad dressing thing. They put it on everything, like not just a Caesar salad. They got it in a bottle and it had Caesar Cardini's face on it. Oh my God, they went through that stuff. That was a traumatic phase for everyone. But I just feel like hummus has taken over and other dips are available.
There are other dips are available. Remember that. By the way, have you ever seen celebrities here? I always see quite famous people in Highbury Fields.
I'm terrible at spotting celebrities.
Really?
I don't know who anyone is. I will say that my local celebrity is Eve Pollard.
Oh.
It's quite a lot, isn't it? Do I mean Eve Pollard? No, I don't mean oh God, this is embarrassing. I don't mean Eve Pollard. Who's the woman who was from... With the glasses.
What's she from?
Oh God, this is really embarrassing. You had to edit.
What's Sue from LLC?
It's not. What's her name? It's not Eve Pollard. Eve Pollard is a journalist. It's not her. Embarrassing.
Have a
Sue
look.
Pollard.
Sue Pollard.
Sorry.
I know Sue. What,
Sue
from
Pollard.
Heidi High?
Yes. Exactly, which I'd never watched because...
I remember that from my youth.
But... anyway, she lives near me, and
she
dresses like you would expect Sue Pollard to always dress, so she's a good. And then I found out that Grayson Perry lives or has a studio really near me. Didn't know that. Apparently, my friend sees him all the time. Never seen him.
Oh,
and you think you'd recognise Grayson Perry?
You'd recognise him, wouldn't you?
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
But I never see anyone. Nigel Slater, I used to occasionally see when I lived up here.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, they're probably all around us now.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm always... I think it's because I'm, like, overly observant, unlike your dog. But
Will's just disappeared into a no-dog zone.
We need to go and find him. But I feel like I always have my eyes open for people. I saw Clive Anderson up here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Walking around.
He lives near where Boris Johnson used to live.
Right.
Yeah, Boris Johnson, despite constantly mocking Keir Starmer for being an Islington lawyer, Keir Starmer lives in Camden. Sorry, this is getting really North London. Boris Johnson used to live in Islington.
Maybe now's a good time to talk about the book that you have coming out.
Yes.
Red Sauce, Brown Sauce.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Well, it's a British Breakfast Odyssey is the subtitle, and it is just that. So I went... so I did a book a couple of years ago, which was called One More Croissant for the Road, which is basically cycling around France, eating great French food and trying to find out...
How did you get that commission? That's very, very nice.
I think I prayed hard, and my prayers were answered. So that was sort of looking at classic French dishes, trying to go to their birthplace, talk to people about what makes them great, get some tips, etc. I'd eat a lot of croissants. Yeah. And I thought, how can I repeat this excuse for, having a proper job? And I wanted to do... Britain was one of the ideas I had, which was fortunate given the pandemic that occurred subsequently. And I thought, Britain, I could do pies, I could do fish and chips. And I thought, actually, the one thing that actually we all, or almost all of us, eat in some form that we really feel tied to is the breakfast. So it's not that all of us eat fry-ups or bacon sandwiches every day. I think very few people do. But we sort of feel like we have the right to do it. Even if you're vegan, even if you don't eat pork, there's a thing about, a cooked breakfast. And that's why you get, there's no reason to have a vegan fry-up. It's completely different from a full English breakfast. But they still have them because people feel like it's part of life. So I wanted to sort of look into that a little bit more, find out why we are so obsessed with breakfast. And just go around Britain finding all the different specialities. So I went up to go across the middle, go a bit cross country. So I went up to the Scottish Highlands, the home of the World Porridge Championships, which was amazing. And I went to Northern Ireland to find out about the Ulster Fry, and went to Black Pudding Producer in East Anglia, which is the only one to still use fresh blood. I met so many interesting people along the way. It was amazing. And I ate a lot of good breakfast. So it was quite hard because I was meant to do it in 2020, and then obviously the big pandemic happened and slightly put pay to those plans. And then I thought, in 2021, it's still not a great time to be travelling around the UK. And I was worried people would throw rocks at me and go, you've come from London, get out of here. But it was fine, except for the fact that Marmite, I really wanted to go to the Marmite factory. I'm obsessed by Marmite. And
in Burton?
Yeah, they changed their mind and wouldn't let me in the end, which I'm still very sore about. So if Marmite, if Unilever, if you're listening to this, please, honestly, let me in. I won't do anything bad.
You've been a brand advocate for Marmite, so I'm sure she,
I know. No, they were keen at the beginning, and then I think even though I volunteered to take all sorts of tests beforehand, they were like, no, it's too much for a risk. And the Heinz Baked Bean Factory, fact fans, the biggest baked bean factory in the world is in Widnes. I think. Might not be in Widnes. I keep saying these things very confidently, like about Sue Pollard.
We'll check that.
It's in the yes, take that out. It's the biggest bean factory in the world is in the northwest. Not far from Manchester.
I have this thing, by the way, I'm
very anxious. I've got Widnes in a completely wrong place as well.
If I'm doing journalism, I will sometimes say, just to make things easier, one of the world's biggest.
No, I'm very confident it's the world's biggest baked bean factory. I'm just not confident about where it is.
Where it is exactly.
But anyway, and they were also keen, and then unfortunately the Delta variant basically closed the whole of Northwest to me, and so I was going to go and see berry black puddings, I was going to go to this baked bean factory, I was going to go to Chinatown in Manchester and talk to some people there about congee and things like that, and basically ended up taking a train to Liverpool and going off to Northern Ireland without stopping. So I have slight regrets about that, but I got across to the Isle of Man in the end, which was amazing, to talk to the last guy smoking kippers in a traditional way, who wants to sell up because he wants to retire and he doesn't have anyone to take it over. So if any of your listeners fancy a complete change of lifestyle, please
go and smoke kippers in the Isle of Man.
Go and smoke it. It's a beautiful place.
It looks really nice.
Smell a fish.
I haven't been there. What was that place you went to where they were doing like kind of bread rolls with like was it like a mackerel roll or something?
Oh, the kipper bat.
That was
that was really good.
Yeah,
that was
nice.
really good. It was
very nice.
Yeah, I like Isle of Man. It's really underrated place, but it's quite. I think because it's just it is a bit of a pain to get to, and so it's not the kind of place you can go for a day trip. It is literally in the middle of the Irish Sea.
Yeah.
So that was it was a good trip.
Yeah. What were the things that you learned about breakfast that you didn't know before? Did you discover anything that blew your mind?
Come on then.
That's Felicity talking to Wilf, not me.
Come on then. Wilf has worn himself out playing with a much more energetic dog.
A very, very cute dog.
Yeah. Wilf is quite lazy, so 30 seconds is enough for him. Come on. Wilf here. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. That's his only interest in life is treats. Come on here.
Who wants a treat? There's a very, very amusing dog play going on.
So the things that I learnt, I think the biggest takeaway that I had was that actually the English breakfast, or I'm calling it English breakfast because that seems to be the thing that is the best known, but actually I went all over the UK. It's not even the British breakfast because I went to Northern Ireland and the Isle of Man. That it's a really recent construct, so it's like the cream tea or the ploughman's lunch. Yeah, which actually is both sort of marketing ploys.
Things, yeah.
And the English breakfast, or the cooked breakfast, whatever you want to call it, fry up, is really recent as a concept, and all of the constituent parts up until sort of the 1950s, 1960s, you might have them for dinner as like a mixed grill, and maybe there'd be a chop on there as well, and we've lost the chop. But this idea that we have to have them for breakfast worries me, because I feel like if you think that you have to have things like cockles and lava bread, which are a bit challenging for many people. So lava bread, to explain, is like a seaweed, chopped, boiled seaweed that they eat a lot they used to eat a lot in Wales, and it's got a quite like a mucilaginous texture.
That's a great word.
I hope I pronounced it right. Anyway,
I love that.
It's a bit gloopy, basically, and a lot of people, I think, find that a bit difficult at breakfast time, if not any time. And so if we have to say, oh, this is a breakfast thing, then it's just going to die out. Whereas if you can say, oh, you can have this for dinner, as it traditionally would have been eaten any time of day, then it still has a life. So I think this idea of, it's really good fun to talk about what makes a proper fry-up and whether we should have beans or not. But I think we need to stop taking it so, seriously as a national icon, because it's really recent, and most people don't have time to do a fry up in the mornings anymore. Except a fry up for dinner is a really great shot. I mean, if you can sleep after a fry up.
And you do realise, Felicity, when you start doing promo for your book, there's going to be a lot of interviews where you're going to be on the radio. People are going to go, oh, Felicity, what's your favourite breakfast item? And then the other question will be, what's on a proper fry-up? It's got to have beans, it's got to have hash browns, it's got to have sausages.
And then I basically
what's on a proper fry-up?
Well, I alienate everyone by saying, I don't want baked beans on my fry-up. I love baked beans, but I don't want them on my breakfast.
Yeah.
And I also love black pudding, which I think is sadly quite specialised taste these days, which is a shame because I think it's so delicious. I'm really fussy about meat in general, but when I was cycling in the Outer Hebrides, where they make a really famous black pudding, we'd go to a garage in the middle of nowhere, and there'd be this black pudding just like drying out under the heat lamps. They'd been there all day, and I would happily eat that. I don't know where it came from. It might have been stored away. It might have been Lidl.
Yeah.
But I just love black pudding.
I remember talking to Jonathan Meads the one time I chatted to him, and he was talking to me about his love of black pudding and boudin noir.
Yes.
He's a very, very big fan. Have you read his food writing as well?
I have. I actually went to see him for my French book. I went for dinner with him in Marseille.
In his flat?
Well, I went for dinner with him on the port in Marseille to talk about sort of bouillabaisse and other Marseille food.
Amazing.
And then he invited, his wife invited me for lunch the next day, and I was just like, I didn't need asking twice. I was I want
jealous.
to see that flat.
Yeah.
And I got completely lost inside that rabbit warren, but it was amazing. So
did you go up on the roof?
Yeah,
I've been on the roof.
Yeah,
very,
I've been
very,
up on the roof, seen all of that.
What do you remember? What Jonathan and his wife made you for lunch?
Yeah, we had, I think I didn't take a photo because I didn't want to be uncool, but I do remember that we had like really nice, it was quite simple. We had like a tomato salad, we had some saucisson, some bread, some cheese, and then afterwards just like, it's so sophisticated, it's like a single square of dark chocolate with figs in it. Just, that's how people like that roll. It's not like, oh, let's eat a whole Easter egg. It's like, have a single square of dark chocolate.
That's fantastic.
But yes, no, it was a real treat. But we didn't talk about black pudding. I'm going to tap him up. I'm going to get back in contact to ask him for his opinion.
Talk to him. He loves anything. I guess in his writing, he's kind of always looking for the kind of ugliness that underpins life in a sort of ballad way. So with food, he's always talking about offal and black pudding and heads and things like that. The kind of gross reality that we kind of shy away from.
Yeah, well, he might also be interested in the West Country. We could actually go around the back of.
Let's do that.
In the West Country, I went to see a maker of hog's pudding, which people from Devon and Cornwall will probably be familiar with, but you don't see outside the West Country that much.
That's a new one on me. What's hog's pudding?
So hog's pudding is it's a bit like a white pudding if you ever come across that in Ireland or Scotland. And so it's made from, this particular one is made from sort of pork belly, and they make it with pork shoulder. And I think originally it probably would have been cheaper cuts of pork. And it's quite, so there's no blood in it, but it looks like a black pudding, but pale. And it's quite highly spiced. And they think that was probably because of all the spices that were coming into the ports down there. And it's just so delicious. And sometimes some people put oats in it as well, and some people put cream in it. And I came across some old recipes, actually from like the southeast rather than the southwest, that had currants in it, which is a bit like the Scottish fruit pudding. You've ever had that on a breakfast?
I've never had fruit pudding.
The weirdest thing. Like, if you go into a Scottish supermarket, you'll see like breakfast packs, and they'll have, your bacon, they'll have your square lawn sausage, usually made out of beef rather than pork. You have your black pudding, and then they'll quite often have fruit pudding, which basically looks like a slice of fruit cake that you fry in bacon fat. Just extraordinary.
Fantastic.
Where did that come from?
Yeah, where did it come from?
Just amazing. And actually in Scotland I went to see this butcher who he's really famous for his black puddings, and he makes one, he did a collaboration with Jägermeister, and they asked him to make a black pudding with Jägermeister, and he was just like, yeah, I don't know, really? He was a bit sceptical, but obviously he was like, I'll take the money. He said, actually, genuinely, the secret blend of herbs and spices in Jägermeister did make for a really nice black pudding.
It worked out. Hold on, are you telling me that those brand tie-ins that are things that people do for money?
Yes.
I can't believe this. I thought it was just all about creativity coming through.
I don't want to shock you, but yes, the iron brew pie, the Jägermeister sausage, it's all for the filthy money.
Unbelievable. By the way, if any brands want to get in touch and sponsor the podcast, I'm very...
Sponsor me to do some sort of hog's pudding,
Yes, exactly.
Very fond of gin, very happy to play around.
Yes, can we get the British Hogs Pudding Marketing Board
Please,
to get in touch with us?
Yes, also,
and me and Phil will do a 10-part podcast series on hogs. I
could talk about it for a long time, so please do.
That sounds great. I think the book's going to be amazing. yeah, it sounds like you had some great adventures doing it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I managed to rip my hamstring twice. Well,
cycling.
I tore it and then ripped it. No, embarrassingly, neither of them occurred on the bike. So the first time I was...
Did you fall off a bridge?
I fell off a bridge on day 2 of the entire trip.
How did you fall off a bridge?
I mean, it's embarrassing. So I was going across the bridge, and those cycling shoes that cyclists wear that don't have a lot of grip on.
Yeah.
I came off this bridge, like narrow wooden bridge across a river, pedestrian bridge. And embarrassingly, I'd only gone over the bridge to take a photo. So, like, peak Instagram twat. And I put my foot on what I thought was solid ground, but wasn't solid ground. Ended up in the 1 foot in the river, 1 foot wedged in the bridge. And I don't do the splits that often. And the bike fell on top of me, and my friend had to haul me out.
Yeah.
And so that was bad. But then in Wales, the bike was nowhere in sight the second time. I skidded over in flip-flops. And literally that put me out of action for like 10 days. I could hardly walk, let alone cycle.
Dear.
So yeah, it was there had some moments. I nearly got thrown off a train in Scotland and had to start crying. There are a few things. And then it was interesting, having cycled a lot in France, I was really thinking that cycling in the UK, which I have done before obviously, but a big trip was going to be very hard. But actually, drivers were lovely for the most part. I'd had very few bad experiences until I got to the southeast. Disclosure, I am from the southeast. I feel like I can mean about it. As soon as we got into Essex, people were horrible. They were just so mean, just honking at us to get out of the way and etc. And like Surrey was the worst. Oh my God, the drivers in Surrey. So yeah, my lesson was maybe I need to move.
Yeah, maybe that's
I'm gonna keep cycling. I need to move.
That's the lesson. But it's good to go on those adventures, isn't it? And I think that's what makes it fun to do those kind of like journalistic odysseys. We went. Do you remember we went to that? We went on that trip to Jerez in Spain. I was thinking about that the other day when I was talking to someone who was going there, and that was funny because we just ended up kind of at a fiesta or something, didn't we? Do you remember that?
I have
got taken to some kind of like festival.
Yeah, I think Wines of Jerez took us to the feria.
Yeah.
The big sort of carnival basically there. And my memory is that they just force-fed us sherry.
Yeah.
Honestly force-fed to the extent that at some point I asked if I could have a soft drink, which was taken as an insult. And, this was not like after one sherry. This was after about 6 hours of sherry.
We had a lot of sherry on that
could
trip.
I have a soft drink?
Yeah.
And they said yes, and gave me something called a rebajito, which it was sherry with some lemonade in it. It was like sherry shandy. It was a good trip, but my God, that was, I mean, even in my 20s, I feel like that was quite hardcore.
Yeah, exactly. Just to finish, Felicity, have you got any park memories that you cherish from being a youngster? Did you used to hang out in your local park when you were young? Did you get up to no good?
I mean, I do have a few memories involved. Like, surely everyone that grows up goes to school in the vicinity of a town has park memories of like either a park or a graveyard. So there was the graveyard, which some people, not me obviously, used to go in to smoke. It wouldn't have been me. Yeah. But also there was a park with a bandstand, and the bandstand was where you went to like drink Archers and lemonade out of plastic cups and etc. And the parks sort of you feel like parks have got this as a teenager. They feel a bit like a space that's designed for you because you're not really, you've got no spending power as a teenager. People generally think of you as a nuisance, which often, I mean, I was quite a nuisance.
Were you?
Well, not a terrible, but generally teenagers are annoying, aren't they, to people that aren't teenagers?
It's not
fair.
Exactly.
It's not fair on them, but that's the case. I feel like parks just felt like somewhere that we could be that people weren't, because people just are used to teenagers being annoying and loud in parks, aren't they?
This is the thing, exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's a place where you can go. You have no money. You don't have to spend any money. You won't be bothered really, and you can just hang out.
You're never the weirdest. There's always some
Yeah.
much weirder person in the park.
But yeah, it was it felt like
to alarm any parents. There's always a weirder person in the park. There's always a weird adult in the park somewhere.
Well, that is the other thing about parks. They're kind of like sweet and innocent. There's we just walk past this very cool children's playground. It's very family friendly, but also you see kind of like weird stuff going on, and
I mean, after dark, I don't know whether
changes character.
Yeah, I did. There's actually a woman in that goes to my local park, and she throws raw chicken to the foxes in the park. Wilf is obsessed by this woman. I actually saw her last night. He knows her car.
Hold on, paint this picture for us. She buys chicken.
She buys
from the shop.
Big things of chicken from Sainsbury's.
Are we talking like whole chickens?
No, like chicken legs. And
right,
things,
chicken legs.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then she tosses them. So the park now, they don't bother to lock the parks anymore.
Which one's
this? So this is Barnard Park.
Barnard Park. If anyone wants to avoid it.
If anyone wants either some free raw chicken or to avoid her.
I'm actually going down there after this.
Yeah, I mean, see what's available.
Make a casserole. So she gets the chicken legs. She throws them.
So this. Right. I mean, it's actually quite bad, but I'm too scared to say anything to her. I try and avoid her because Wilf loves her.
Yeah.
Obviously, because she's got chicken.
Yeah.
And she throws them across into there's a children's playground that is locked up, and that's where it's got some woods in it. So that's where the foxes hang out. So she throws this raw chicken into the children's playground.
What you're describing?
Do you think it's bad that I haven't reported it?
What you're describing, sounds like a horror movie. A woman throwing raw chicken legs into a children's playground.
I need to be clear that she loves the foxes and that she's doing it for the best. She feels she's doing it for the best of the foxes. It's not that. I mean, I feel like I painted her in a bad light, and her intentions are good, but I do think it's a bit weird.
It's a bit. So she's trying to feed the foxes, but doing it in kind of a. Quite weird way.
Yeah. So that's my experience of my local parks. I actually have a gift for you, Chris.
Oh yes, we need to do gifts before.
A gift for you, but I need to.
Before we go, let's do that. I've got.
Capture the dog.
I've got. Is your bike over here?
It's just on the.
Perfect.
The road.
Yes, I think this is going to be the start of a recurring feature where we're gonna give out. Very, very bad gifts. Sometimes, I don't know about you guys, sometimes people give you gifts. We often get sort of corporate gifts from people. And, you know, even at Christmas, maybe auntie gives you quite a rogue present and you kind of wonder, don't you? Where,
and you can't, but also, I mean, I'm quite a sentimental person and I feel bad for not keeping gifts.
No, that's why re-gift.
Yeah, but
re-gift.
Re-gifts is fine, but I just feel guilty about it, and so I mean, I live in a really small flat, and it's not full of things that people have given me that I don't want because I'm not an ingrate. But I feel guilty. But now I've got something for you that I can re-gift. I think it'll be useful to you.
I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited. We're just walking to the edge of Highbury Fields. I think Highbury Fields is very nice, very genteel. It's kind of Dickensian, I think.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Has these Georgian houses and the kind of old style lamps that look like they're lit by.
Yeah, it's very atmospheric at night. If you don't look into the park bit itself, and I think that when I make loads of money from my book because of all your podcast listeners buying it, I'm probably going to buy a place here.
Here.
You know, part two.
Okay.
So you ready for your gift?
Let's do the gifts. Yeah. Do you want to? You can show me yours first. Okay.
I mean, it's never been used. It's been through the dishwasher, but it's never been used.
So Felicity has given me an bright orange and blue plastic bottle. It says Bike Tours in the Netherlands, hollandbiketours.com. This is a great cycling bottle.
Exactly, useful,
Thank
practical,
you so much.
And bright orange, so you're not going to lose it.
I love this. This is a great gift.
I tried to, so I was given that on a recent press trip to Holland, cycling from Rotterdam to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
The guy that hired us the bikes insisted I took one, even though I already had 2 bottles with me. So I've carried that. I've never used it. I had to bloody carry it all the way from Rotterdam to Amsterdam in the snow.
I love that.
Just to give it to you.
I thank you, Felicity. It's very kind of you. Now I have. I'm going to ask you to put your hand in the bag, and you can chalk.
Scared.
There's one of the gifts is one of the gifts is like a foodie gift, and the other one is absolutely ridiculous. So which one are you going to choose?
I'm just getting the one that's a really weird shape.
So the one.
Oh my god!
The one.
I don't know what I could have won, but what I have won is a really creepy... I don't know if it's meant to be someone specific. Oh my God, it's you! Are you sure you want to give this to me? I was like, it's just this weird man, the statue of a weird man, dressed as a Virgin Atlantic flight attendant, on a plinth that says... I mean, it's amazing, and it is Chris.
Yeah, so
Are you sure you want to give this away?
Yeah, I do. I very much want to give it away.
Great, it's going to sit on my desk for a bit until I find a suitable place to gift it.
So unbelievably, I got 3D scanned and turned into a flight attendant.
This is astonishing.
And they made me into a model. And I discovered that in my drawer the other day. I was horrified to find a miniaturised version of me. I thought it was like some Charlie Kaufman film that had kind of come to life.
You look quite buff. If it's 3D scan, then
thank you for saying so.
It's, you got the...
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No problem.
What could I have won?
You can take this as well.
No.
This is a proper gift. This is a drinkable gift from Germany.
God. Need
actually, I'm not sure what's worse. Take that as well. It's
I don't even know what it is. So it's a small bottle for listening that is 40.2%.
40.2%. I think,
but
it's
it has
herbal...
it literally has no label, except it might have gone off in 2017, but I don't know.
Has it gone off?
Well, I mean, it's 40.2%. I feel like it was never going to go off.
Yeah.
But you don't know what it is.
I think it says like Kräuter liqueur. Yeah.
Krauter liquor.
So that means herbal
liquor.
Herbal liquor. Yeah. Some kind of herbal alcohol.
It's slightly cloudy, listeners.
If
I die.
Yeah, it will be my.
Do call for a toxicology report. Just if I die clutching a 3D model. Thank you so much.
No problem.
That's incredibly kind of you.
I'm glad you've enjoyed the gifts. How was the walk around the park been today? Has it been enjoyable?
It has been very enjoyable. You
Yeah.
have better company than the dog.
Okay.
I mean, that's quite a low bar, but
it's a very low bar. Thank you so much, Felicity.
My absolute pleasure.
I really enjoyed this.
Oh, I haven't asked you. Are you red sauce or brown sauce?
Oh, brown sauce.
Brown sauce, good choice.
Yeah.
Very
Brown
sound
sauce.
choice.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Old school.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
We can still be friends. Brilliant.
I love that. Excellent. Look forward to the book. When's it out?
9th of June. So, yeah.
Perfect.
Go and buy it, people.
Go and buy the book.
Make my Highbury Fields dreams come true.
Thank you so much, Felicity Cloake.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of Park Date. There's lots more where that came from, and there'll be more in the future as well. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review, good or bad, make them funny. I'll be reading out the best ones, and there'll be a prize for the one that makes me laugh the most. Name check some trees in your reviews and leave them wherever you get your podcasts from. Check out our website, parkdate.co.uk, and if you see me walking around in the park, come and say hello. I think that was the sound of someone sneezing. Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye. On the next episode of Park Date, I'm joined by storied Catalonian director Ramos Cojones, who tells us about his new rom-com Patatas Muertas, which is out in cinemas very, very soon. And additionally, I will be chatting to Hollywood actress Gwyneth Paltrow, who tells us how benches changed her life. I mean, really, before they were invented, you just had to sit on the floor, and like, that's why they're so good, isn't it? So join us again for another hilarious instalment of Park Date.